It was a cold and rainy morning when Ethan stepped out of his house, his shoulders weighed down by a worry that seemed to have no solution. The corner cafe, with its familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee, was his usual refuge. But that morning, something felt different. Sitting in a quiet corner, an elderly man with gray hair watched the movement around him with a calm gaze, as if he knew something the others didn't. Ethan had no idea that this encounter would change the way he saw life. At some point, we all face days like this, moments when we feel trapped by worries that seem impossible to escape. But what if a single act, one simple decision, could completely transform someone's path? What seemed like just another ordinary day was about to become the beginning of a journey that would reveal the hidden power of a simple gesture. Ethan ordered his coffee and, without much thought, sat at the only available table, right next to the man with the serene expression. The old man gave him a slight smile and broke the silence with an unexpected question. If you could change just one thing about your life today, what would it be? Caught off guard, Ethan hesitated. He was carrying the heavy burden of a mistake he had made at work, something that could cost him his career. As he struggled to find an answer, a young woman named Emma rushed into the cafe, dropping coins on the floor as she tried to pay for her order. Without hesitation, the elderly man bent down, gathered the coins, and handed them back to her with a warm smile. Ethan watched the scene closely. Such a simple act, yet it seemed to carry a deep meaning. Emma, with tears welling up in her eyes, thanked him, confessing that this small gesture reminded her that kindness still existed in the world, and that she desperately needed to believe in that today. Ethan was lost in thought. Could simple gestures really have the power to change lives? His mind filled with memories of moments when he could have been kinder, more patient, more present. He remembered Mark, a co-worker who had asked for his help reviewing an important report a few days ago. Overwhelmed by his own worries, Ethan had turned him down. Now, knowing that this mistake could cost him his job, he wondered if Mark could have prevented the problem had he received Ethan's help. The weight of guilt tightened in his chest. As if reading his thoughts, the old man beside him spoke gently. Sometimes we can't change the past, but a single act can redefine the future. A lump formed in Ethan's throat. What had started as a simple morning coffee was turning into an encounter with the truth, a truth he could no longer ignore. Ethan looked at the old man, feeling that those words carried more weight than he had initially realized. Something inside him stirred. He suddenly saw how much time he had wasted dwelling on his mistake instead of focusing on what he could still do. He stood up abruptly, grabbed his phone, and taking a deep breath, dialed Mark's number. His voice trembled as he apologized and asked if there was still anything he could do to help. On the other end of the line, there was a brief silence, followed by a relieved sigh. Mark explained that he had spent the night trying to fix the report but still needed some adjustments. Without hesitation, Ethan rushed to the office. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't just thinking about himself, but about the impact of his actions. When he arrived, he saw that Mark was exhausted. He sat beside him, and together they carefully reviewed every detail. The mistake was fixed in time, and the project moved forward. But more than just securing his position at work, Ethan realized he had regained something even more valuable: his ability to make a difference. That morning, a simple act of kindness he had witnessed in the cafe planted a seed in his heart, and now he understood. Small actions can change entire stories. The old man was right. We can't change the past, but we can always choose how to shape the future. How often do we get lost in regrets or let opportunities slip by because we're too focused on our own problems? Ethan's story reminds us that a single act, no matter how small, can change not only our day but someone else's as well. We may not always have control over what happened in the past, but we can always decide how to act in the present. And in the end, these small choices define who we truly are. Maybe today is the day to reach out to someone, offer a gesture of kindness, or simply be present for someone in need. Never underestimate the power of a sincere action. It might be exactly what someone was waiting for to move forward. And if this reflection touched your heart, stay with us on this journey. There is so much more to discover, and in the next story, you might just find the answer you've been looking for.